Hi and welcome to Monday Magic, my series of coaching tips and videos that you can hopefully take something from to use in your everyday life to help you work with whatever it is that you're working through. So one thing I wanted to talk about today that's at the root of so much is our belief systems. And often in our own lives as individuals or as a coach when we're working with someone and they are looking to change their lives in some way, they're looking to achieve some goals, they might be looking to make some transformations in different areas, and the change seems to be taking a really long time to come for them, and they talk about how they've tried to change and they find it really difficult. It makes us realise that actually we're dealing with behaviours that are based on really deep-seated beliefs. So our belief system is the story we have about ourselves, what we believe about ourselves, what we believe about others as well, and about the world and our role in the world. And it's at the bottom of everything for us. So, for example, I used to believe that I wasn't a very creative person. I think this was a combination of the just sort of things I'd pulled in or I'd been told when I was younger. I'd actually been out with somebody as well in my earlier dating years who believed I was very, very organised and not creative, and so I kind of pulled all these together and I got this image of myself as, I'm not creative. So that was my belief system. So I then had thoughts and behaved in a way that just ruled out creativity. So if there was something creative, I would just shut that whole part off. That wouldn't be for me. So you see how our behaviour is very much influenced by our thinking, and our thinking is influenced by our belief system and everything that's at the bottom of that. Belief systems can be so strong. A really fascinating example of just the extraordinary things that people will believe about themselves is a thing called the glass delusion, which was recorded in Europe, and it was mainly among the wealthy and educated classes in the late medieval times. And this strange psychiatric disorder meant that people feared they were made of glass and they were likely to shatter. This is a thing. Look this up. This is a thing. People went to massive lengths to change their behaviours and adjust their lifestyles so to avoid shattering into pieces, because they genuinely thought they were made of glass. So one famous early sufferer was King Charles VI of France, who refused to let anyone touch him, and he wore reinforced clothing to prevent himself from being shattered. And to me, this is just such an interesting example of the extraordinary beliefs that we can have and how much our belief system affects our daily behaviours. So massively important, if we want to change, there's certain things we can do at the surface, but we often have to look at our beliefs, what's underneath that, As they say, our thoughts become things, we use this language. I've talked a bit about NLP in earlier videos, neuro-linguistic programming, and how we use our language to program our brain. Well, the language we use with ourselves depends on our belief system. So, what you think, you become. So if you have a belief that, say, for example, you're not a very confident person, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you'll go into a social situation, you'll be sitting there, and the language you'll be using with yourself, the sort of things you'll be telling yourself is, I won't open my mouth to speak because, I'm not very confident. I don't do stuff like that. And anyway, who wants to hear what I have to say? And so you create your reality for yourself from your thoughts, which come from your belief system. Utterly, we all do it. I was going to say it's utterly bonkers, but we're all utterly bonkers because this is what we do, and we can really limit ourselves. And these belief systems that we have can, they're often about our identity as well. The ones that are most limiting to us are about our identity, who we think we are, who we think we're not, and they can make us feel that something just isn't possible for us. I'm not the sort of person that does that. How often have you told yourself that in some incarnation or another? That person can do that because they're really courageous or they're really outgoing or adventurous, but not me, I can't do that. I have this fear of this. I am this sort of person. Who says? You say. And okay, maybe you took that from someone, maybe a caregiver when you were younger, maybe a teacher, some sort of authority figure has said that to you. You've picked up that belief somewhere. These are all picked up for a reason. They are rooted in what we call our childhood survival strategies. So you might act a certain way and have learnt to act that way when you were a child because it was a way of surviving for you. So, for example, if you had a parent that was particularly chaotic, used to shout a lot or something like that, well, then you might learn to keep very quiet, keep your head below the parapet. And that worked for you as a child. That strategy worked for you as a child because maybe it kept you from being shouted at. But as an adult, we suddenly start to see where that limits us. Does it stop you speaking up for yourself in your work? Does it stop you speaking up for yourself in relationships? Does it lead to you being allowing yourself to be a bit of a doormat? So these strategies, they're not wrong or right. They're just something that worked for us when we were younger, but they're not working anymore. And a lot of people come to coaching or come to self-development, reading books, however they do it, because something's not working. They've developed these habitual patterns that have worked for them as a child, but they're just no longer serving them anymore. They're not bad. They're just limiting them where they are now. And we'll use all sorts of different methods. One thing that's really useful is visualization. So I talked about what you think you become. And you might think that's all very hippie, but actually think about something really concrete and tangible. Think about a really robust building, something that there's no denying it's there. It's huge, it's concrete, it's got loads of floors. I don't know, I'm thinking of like St Paul's Cathedral or something like that here in London. So there's no denying that's there, but that had to be first in the mind of the architect, the designer. The person had to have some thoughts in their head and share those and build on it. So what I'm trying to say here is anything very concrete and solid and real has to be first thought of in the mind. So again, what you think you become. So you have to create it first in your mind. So one tool that's quite useful is visualization. And you can Google the success of this, particularly in athletes, for example. I mean, top athletes know that you don't necessarily have to practice physically doing something. I don't quite know what I'm doing there. That was a cross between tennis and lacrosse and hockey or something. But you don't have to physically do the movements. You can actually visualize, and the motor neurons in your brain get fired, and the pathways in your neural pathways get developed, so you can build that kind of muscle in your brain without doing something. So visualization is a really important technique. Go and check it out. Go and Google that. Look up visualization. Another thing for so that's around kind of visualizing where you want to be. Okay. Another way of really interesting exercise that I sometimes do with coaching clients around self-limiting beliefs and looking at these and looking, do they serve us? What do we want to do about these? Is just quite fun actually. It's just on Post-it notes. So get a big bundle of Post-it notes and think about what your beliefs are. And at first it might be quite difficult, but as you start doing it, they'll keep coming. So a belief might be, I'm too old to change my career. It might be, I way too much. It might be I don't have the skills and experience for this. It might be I'm no good with money. It might be I'm not confident. I'm no good in relationships. I'm no good with people. All these things. Start writing them out, one on every Post-it note. Put them all everywhere. When you've exhausted that, just keep going. When you've exhausted that, go back to them one by one. Go to the one that calls to you most first, and look at it and go, okay, do I want to keep this belief, this Post-it note? Do I want to rip it up, burn it, screw it up, stamp on it? Or do I want to rewrite it to something that's more constructive? So do I want to rewrite my belief to something that's more constructive to me and better of use to me in this stage of my life? So you might have something around, confidence again. I say I'm not confident. And also you can look at that and say, well, is that actually true? That's a belief I have, but is that true? We could borrow from CBT, cognitive behaviour therapy, the concept of evidence. So is there evidence to suggest that actually in some occasions I can be confident? So you might think, well, actually, no, that's not true. I don't want to keep that. But I want to change it. So you might write down, I'm confident in situations where I feel I know what I'm talking about. In other areas, I'm working on it. Okay, so is that a more constructive belief? Do you think that's going to help remove some of the blocks for you? Go through every one of them. Some of them I found, I looked at some of the things I believed about myself. This is years ago. I went through and did this exercise. And I just wanted to rip them up. and stamp on them and burn them, because some of them were so damaging, what I was doing to myself by the beliefs that I had. And I think it comes as quite as a surprise to a lot of coaching clients when you look at the beliefs underneath. You think, wow, God, I really believe that about myself. This links back to a video I did, I think a couple of videos ago, on language. You know, the language we use with ourselves. We wouldn't talk to anybody else like that. So, and language is what we use to kind of describe our beliefs or communicate our beliefs to ourselves. You know, I'm not going to do that. I'm rubbish. I'm not worthy of that. I'm not this, that, and the other. So look at your beliefs. Look at what's underlying. You know, if we're looking to change some behaviour, sometimes we have to go underneath that and look at the belief system that the behaviour is formed on, and then all the thoughts we have come from our belief systems. You know, some of it's so unconscious. So if you're looking to change something in your life and you're finding it difficult, look at the beliefs underneath that, and look at what sort of self-fulfilling prophecies you're setting up for yourself by believing that, what you're limiting yourself, what you're stopping yourself doing because you believe that your identity is a certain way. Your identity is only a story that you made up anyway, so you can change that story. And you can change your belief system. It may take a little bit of work, but once you start looking beneath the behaviour, you'll find it easier. And when you've got the understanding of the beliefs, it's a lot easier to work with. So I could go on all day about belief system. I think that's enough for now. It's incredibly hot here. I think I need to go and lie under a fan or something. But yeah, I just really hope that that's helpful. I hope you've taken, even just if one little thing resonates with you from this, then my job is done. I hope it's useful. I hope you can take away something from this to use in your daily life. You know, maybe do the post-it notes exercise, maybe do a vision board or visualization, look something up about that. Hey, look up the glass delusion. It's very amusing that people could believe that. But it does show the extent that we'll go to believe some really, really extraordinary stuff. So I hope this is useful. Feel free to share, feel free to comment if there's something you'd like me to cover, a topic you'd like me to cover. Private message me if you want, or write to me, joe@joeritchie.com, or stick a comment below. And yeah, have a lovely day and enjoy the sunshine. Take care, bye.